So I want to just ask
Question.
anybody. I want to ask a question real quick. Who here has ever been called that to their face by somebody who's not black? I'm I'm gonna just say that never happened to me, ever. Like
Never.
never. Nobody has ever done that to me. Never. So
And I
and
went to school in
but
Alabama.
if the first time I really started hearing it crazy before Instagram and all that was in the Xbox Live chats, right? You know how like you'll have like a back chat there, the room they call it whatever room, I don't know, whatever waiting room, whatever. Before you about to go match or whatever, if they see a black name or they just hear you and you sound like you black, they start throwing it out like
Oh
crazy.
yeah,
They
Halo,
can't help
especially on
themselves with
Halo.
the M bombs. Right? Oh yeah, yeah, or you know, Call of Duty or whatever. They would go hard with that,
Lord have mercy.
and you know, the same thing happens now on social media. You see a bunch of people with blank profiles or private profiles who go ahead and use it and bugging out, but nobody who's willing to face you ever do that. So when you think about it like that, most of those people who use it like that are cowards, straight punks, because they never say it to me. Never. That never happened, and I don't think it ever will. And I know that that's going to happen sometimes. And if they did, if somebody was wild enough to do it, like you said, Marcus, they paid severe consequences and probably never did it again.
And like I said, if you have
What
said
happened to you, Cookie?
I have been called that before. I went to an all white school, so
where they safe,
um were they safe, but they wasn't safe. That's all I'm gonna say. She wasn't as safe as she thought. We were in the locker room. But back to
beat
what I
her ass,
was gonna
didn't you?
say. Huh?
You beat her ass, didn't you?
Man, I put her in a locker. I and just twisted and walked off afterwards. But anyway, that was old me. What I was gonna say was my father, when he went to Vietnam, there was still a lot of race. This was the 70s. There's still a lot of racism going on. And what the coon in the other video didn't understand is that the reason that black men, this women didn't have anything to do with this, took that word away and turned it into a term of endearment between themselves and even changed the way that it sounded was, and this is way before any of us, I'm sure, maybe not JR, and I'm just joking, but they took it and turned it into a term of endearment after Jim Crow, after all of that stuff that popped off, and it was used as a derogatory word for so long. If you go back and look at the Latin base of that word, it means the exact opposite of what they were using it for. Now, am I saying that everybody black running around using that word because they know that? No, but what I'm saying is that the original OGs that decided to take that word back and use it the way that it was supposed to be used is the reason why, and especially in the South, I can't speak for all regions, that it's used as a term of endearment. My dad used that word. Called his brothers that sometimes. Sometimes it can be used negatively amongst black people. It just depends. But the fact of the matter is, like, I can't remember who it was. There are words like that in every race, and there's a unwritten code that you don't call a Mexican certain things. You don't call white people a certain things, and when you do, there are penalties for doing that, and hate crimes in the law for that. And that's not our fault. It's a hate crime at this point, But I don't know. That's just what I wanted to say. That the history of it rolling over into it, and the reason that it's wrong for me to hear her say it is, first of all, she was talking about somebody, her best friend's husband's, and it just sounded bad. Like, did you hear when Sweeney said it a second ago, how fluent she was just real. You could tell she was trying to stir some shit up. So It also depends on the context behind why are you saying this word, ma'am. Thanks for launching my conservative career. Okay. Well, I know a lot of black men that's voting for the same person she voting for this year. And now you see, but y'all finding excuses and it is what it is. I just, hey, don't call me one and there won't be no problems. But if I want to say that, that's just how that is what it is what it is.
So y'all know the dude from the wood, the dude that was the girl's big brother that would come to school and
Yeah,
what was his name in that movie?
I
Y'all know
can't
he
remember,
was a
but I
gangster,
remember who
right?
you talking about.
He was a gangster, right? So okay, so we know who that is. Do y'all know who the dude is? The dude that do Allstate, like the black dude.
Yeah,
Which out of those two, which one would you feel more comfortable calling nigga? The dude from the wood or the dude from Allstate? I just want to test something out real quick.
depends on what we talking about.
I'm
What
just
you
saying,
mean?
like, I'm just saying, who would you feel comfortable saying, "What up, nigga"? The dude from Allstate or the dude from the wood?
Either one of them motherfuckers. I don't care. You asking the wrong female,
Okay, okay.
Darwin.
Well,
Quit
I was just
asking me
trying to
Are,
test.
stupid
are you are you trying
questions.
to are you trying to say that you believe that the guy from Allstate is more respectable, so you won't use certain terminology around him?
No, well, sort of. I'm trying to
That's
think. Like,
that
I'm trying
bullshit.
to see if y'all see something I see. Maybe I'm the only one to see this.
That if you assimilate enough, then you can remove yourself from being of the ranks of niggas.
You know what I'm saying? Whenever you see a
Yeah,
person and how they present their image,
yeah. I'm not black. I'm
could make
OJ.
could make you feel like, okay, this guy's probably gonna be offended if I say the N word versus this guy's probably gonna be like, yo, what up, nigga? You get what I'm saying? Y'all don't see that in black people. Y'all can't discern. I don't know. I can see black people in different
If
ways.
Denzel Washington, one of the most, just stop.
No, I'm just
It's
saying.
cultural. Leave it alone. Everybody has their cultural things
There
that
ain't
they
been a
do.
black person I've met yet, regardless of their stature, that I have not been able to use that word with. Not
I didn't
one.
say I wasn't
Did they
able to
lead a
use it.
Oh,
building and say,
no, but
"Man,
what I
what's
mean by
up?"
that,
Yeah,
Bruiser,
absolutely.
is that they understand the context in which I'm using it. Even if I've talked to people who've actively been against using a word, who hear me say the word and they don't get the same reaction, and I don't get the same reaction as if, say, for instance, that white lady was to get up there and get in front of them and use the same word. So, and I mean, like, Bruce, you just said it yourself. Like, you're an upstanding man. You done went back to the community. And they started calling you sir. How many times have I called you a nigga? And not once have you looked at me and said, whoa, 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 now there.
No, but I get it. I'm not talking about how do you think they're gonna respond. I'm just talking about how you see them. Like, do
I
you
see.
think like
I don't see them through the lens in which white people see us when we use the word. That's the difference. When if I call you a nigga, I'm not saying you are a nigga through the lens of white people. When they call
I
you
get what
that,
you're
it's
saying?
totally different. I don't see you that way.
Well, I get it. I'm saying I see certain people, and when I look at them and I see how they carry themselves and just how they are,
If
certain
this is the
terms.
theory, explain why some white people would not dare be caught dead saying that word.
Well, I'm just going to give an example, and I mentioned to you before about an old coworker that I work with. He was an older guy, and when the young men would sit around and have conversations, uh, they used the N word, and when he used it, he checked them. He said, "Don't use that word around me." And they was looking at him because he said, "I don't want to hear. Don't ever use that word around me," because he come from a different era. So, like, he didn't. I mean, he was one of the people that stood up to black folks saying it. He don't want to hear the word at all, no matter who's saying it. Whether you black, Mexican, white, he don't want to hear the word because
Was
that
he,
word carries a certain level of a trauma for him.
you
And
said
you
he
know what I
was a
noticed, and
manager,
that's
right?
another thing I noticed. I have a father-in-law
Say
that's
what?
You said he was a manager or something, right?
No, he wasn't a manager. No,
Just a
no, like
regular dude.
he's a regular dude. He was a crane operator at the railroad.
Oh, uh-huh.
He was just sitting there.
That's trauma.
He was just
I've
sitting there.
heard some people say don't use it around him, but you can't. If black people, I'm sure he ain't go out his way to make sure these black folks didn't say it because it's not the same. Like, you ain't gonna. I'm sure that he's probably had it said around him more than his fair share of times, and there's a difference even when you black and you don't, because it's always been a class of black people who don't like the word. There's always been. We've been fighting about this since black people took the word back. Some black folks just don't rock with it, but it's still a word that, like, for us to make the argument, for people to be saying, well, if y'all can say it, why can't we? Or why don't we just give the word up? No, because we reclaimed it. It's ours. We allowed to gatekeep it at this point. Are there some black folks that don't like the word? Absolutely. Do they use the word? No. Do they check people when they get called it? Absolutely. And I would hope that black folks respect that person and not call them that. If they, like, if JR tells me, hey, bro, I don't want you calling me that, I'm going to respect his wishes and not call him that. However, if JR tells me don't use the N-word around me, he probably gonna get a different reaction, because it's just not gonna happen. But I'm sure JR would be like, okay, it is what it is. But he's not gonna be like, I'm going after that dude. I'm going after that nigga job, or he ain't gonna see it from the same way that I see it when I'm saying it. So it's just weird that we're trying to have a conversation about why black people should be gatekeeping a word that we reclaim that is unique to us and our situation in this country. And then we have people coming around us telling us, hey, look, why don't y'all give up the word? Or why do y'all want to say it? Because we can, and we can gatekeep it.